Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this morning. Got a big show lined up, a special guest here. But first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. High today 91, low 78, and water temperature jumped up to 87 degrees. It's about as warm as it's going to get right there. River reading, take a look at that place called Bluntstown. It's reading a 1.4. It's in good shape there. Not much movement at all. The Choctaw Caryville had just went up some this morning, but it's going to start dropping out. It's reading a 6.2. All right, tide chart brought to us by Kent, Forest Lawn, Funeral Home and Cemeteries. Get back in some good tides here. High tide at 3:11 this morning. A low tide at 2:17 this evening. Marine forecast now is going to start coming a little bit out of the east at about 5 to 10. So that's a quick weather. We'll take our break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, folks, and welcome Travis. Good morning.
Good morning.
Always good to see Travis Basford with FWC. He comes in once a month, and always ask him about a job. How's it going? And y'all went out on a boat ride yesterday.
We did. It was a beautiful day, and we were talking before the show. We went offshore. We went probably around that 15-mile mark, and it was a ghost town out there. I think we ended up checking one boat, but we've got a lot of closures right now with the offshore fishery, but. We did come across something pretty cool. We got once we got past that dirty water from all that rain, and got that clean water, past that line, we found a big clump of like bamboo floating, and it had been there a long time. I mean, it had a lot of growth on it, and there was the biggest triple tail I've seen offshore. I know they get some real big ones over toward Indian Pass and stuff, but this thing, it looked like a keeper gag grouper.
Oh man!
I don't know, 22 inches long, and he was there with about 10 other friends. So he had about 10 triple tail, and then around it circling in a big circle was a nice school of dolphin. And you know how they light up in the water, so they were pretty.
Oh, I bet that was beautiful.
It was awesome. And with the dolphin, there was a big bull that was hanging around. So it was one of those times where you wish you had a fishing rod in your hand. But
y'all should have like when you go to grade school, you go to school most of the day, but you have recess. And recess, you do anything you want. They should give y'all a recess,
that
like
would be
30-minute recess, and bring out your poles and do something.
That'd be awesome. I think we'd be doing recess too much.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, that was pretty cool to see. And again, it was slow out there, but I mean, it was beautiful. It was probably 1 foot seas. I mean, it was nice.
And oddly, you said that one fisherman you checked, he was what kind of fishing was he doing?
He was shark fishing.
Shark fishing, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they weren't even bottom fishing really.
And I know as part of y'all don't have any kind of pattern. Y'all just do one day go offshore, one day this way, one day that way, which is smart, and which is the way it should be.
Exactly. Kind of mix it up.
Yeah.
And have a lot of freedom. So
that's good.
We're fortunate in that aspect. So. And then I guess the other story we were talking about was this fish here. I had a friend of mine come into town. I've had the boat in the water 3 times all summer, my personal boat, with work and new baby and all that stuff, which is fine. But we did go 2 Fridays ago. It was at the end of that week when we had all that rain. Right. I mean, on the beach they were talking about I think around 12 inches in town, 8 to 10 inches. So we had a lot of rain. The bay was like sweet tea, and I told a buddy of mine, it was actually the best man at my wedding. And he went to Mosley with me. He came into town. He wanted to go, and I said the conditions just aren't good. I said, but we can try it. A bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work, right? So we went. It was blowing 15 to 20 knots. I think we caught 2 little mangrove snapper all morning, and finally we pulled up to the DuPont Bridge, and that water was so dark. I mean, I think that redfish, he ended up catching a nice red there. I'll show the picture, but I think he could see about this far in front of his nose, but. He found that bait, and he did get a nice bull red there. So
what was your tide doing?
It was going out.
Going to go out. We'll talk about outgoing tide. Tell the folks who this is and a little bit about him.
This is Randy Boblis. He went to Mosley with me, and he's now out in California. He lives in Santa Monica, and he works for a big editing company in Los Angeles. So, but we've been lifelong friends, and it was just good to have a day on the water. And I'm glad that we were able to catch something other than, it was just one of those days that just the conditions weren't right. We still had a great time, and that was the thing. So.
Well, and that's what we tell people, even though, sometimes, especially when people come in from out of town, they only got a little window of opportunity, they still want to get on the water.
They do.
And what y'all did in the worst conditions possible, other than lightning or something, y'all get out there and y'all look what y'all caught.
I know, it was awesome.
So that was a good, I know he got back to California and showed that fish all
he was
over.
showing that fish off, and it was fun. We had a great time, and that was the icing on the cake for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, we're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Sitting with Travis, we're talking about the situation now with Scallop season open. I'll tell you about my trip. I'll talk about it tomorrow, but I'll go and say now, I do a disclaimer, just not many scallops down there, Travis.
Right, and that's what we've heard.
Let's talk about it from your end and see what's going on.
Sure. Well, I mean, like we've been talking about last couple months, everyone looks forward to the Bay Scallop season in St. Joe Bay. It's huge for our area, and the numbers just weren't there. When they went to do the counts earlier in the year, they just weren't there. And so they did this shortened season, and the reason for that was because of 2015, the red tide had detrimental effects on the scallop population. That's what they're attributing, the low numbers for. So they did this season. It opened on a Monday, which was weird, but it opened this Monday, August 22nd. It'll be open for 2 weeks through September 5th, which is Labor Day, and then they reduced the bag limit. It's only 40 per person, 40 individual scallops. You get a count each scallop or 200 per vessel, whichever is less. Mm-hmm. So you can do the math on that, and that's for the waters west of St. Vincent Island all the way to the west bank of the Mexico Beach Canal, which includes St. Joe Bay. And then one other thing I want to talk about with the scallops is what they're trying to do, because of these low numbers, is they're trying to restore some of the scallops in St. Joe Bay. And FWC's have got a couple spots there where they've actually brought scallops in, and they're wanting to use them to hopefully repopulate the bay because it's just been hurt so bad. Mm-hmm. And that area is going to be at the head of the bay, and I'm not going to give you the exact area, but if you do see it, it's clearly marked with buoys that say Scallop Restoration, FWC, stay out. You obviously can't scallop in there. There's no swimming. There's no boating allowed. And we've got officers out there at all hours that are going to be protecting that area because they want those to make it, because that could be influential on the crop next year. So if you see that area, just stay away from it. I mean,
and the purpose of it is trying to get them all together, so when they're spawning this fall, they'll be able to spawn together and it won't be all spread out. So the idea is good, and we do need, as conservationists and outdoorsmen, stay away, make sure nobody's messing with it and all.
Right. It's important because we all want it to come back so everyone can enjoy that resource. If you do decide to go during this season, and again, we've heard real low numbers, but sometimes it's just good to get out there and swim and enjoy a day on the water. Make sure you got your diver's down flag up. When you go to put people in the water, whether you're doing scuba or in this case snorkeling, as what most people do in the bay there, you need to have it up, displayed at the highest point on your vessel so it can be seen by other boaters, and make sure your group stays within 300 feet or 100 yards, which is a football field, circle around that your boat or that flag. And then the same goes for boat operators. If you see a diver's down flag up, stay 300 feet away. And if for some reason you do need to come in within that 300 feet, which, as we know, when it gets crowded, sometimes people move in there, just make sure you come down to idle speed. Idle speed is defined as going forward just enough to maintain steerage. So that's basically for most vessels, put your boat in gear and just enough to steer the vessel. That way you can react if you were to see a diver come up or something like that. So that's just real important to do and keeps everyone safe out there. Okay,
well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I do want to say this about my trip I took on Monday. Gail and I were down there. About boats and all, it was sort of such a strange feeling, because, like I've said before, you usually go down there and it looked like the scene out of Jaws on opening day. Everybody headed out there, and we were the second boat, count them, 2 boats at St. Joe State Park, and the first boat was fishermen, so we were the first one launched at 8:30. There's nobody else there. But anyway, I get out there, and we'll go to the area, and I'll tell you where it is in the southeastern part of the St. Joe Bay, southwest. I'm sorry, and Travis, there's not a boat out there anywhere, which is okay with me.
Yeah.
So I get, I got about 3 honey holes I was going to check Monday morning. So I get out there and get geared up and all, and Gail always makes sure she doesn't get in the water till I find them. So she was, I'm always a scout. Once I find them, she'll jump in. But
right.
So I jump in there and started looking around and just enjoying having. I just love doing that. I mean, and it wasn't another boat. I mean, on the horizon you couldn't see another boat.
That's weird.
Travis, a boat started coming up, and I saw it from a distance. I said, well, here comes somebody else. I've got a picture of this. Jeff, I want you to show this picture. This boat came up to us. Look at there. Can y'all see that? That boat was 20 feet. And now that was right south of me. That boat came within 20 feet of my boat.
Mm. And I know y'all had y'all's flag up.
Yeah, we had the flag. I was there snorkeling, but there was no other place in the whole part of the bay.
I guess Wait a minute. Wanted to hit your honey hole too.
It gets worse. It gets worse. Wait a minute. It gets worse. This boat right here, the pontoon. Y'all see that boat? Look, this is my boat right here. That other boat come. So I had a boat south of me and a boat north of me, and that's the only boats in St. Joe Bay that I could see. And they came. It was like my boat had a magnet. It was the weirdest thing.
They thought you'd found them over there, I guess.
Well, in fact, seriously, that first boat, that pontoon boat, was the first one. When that boat came up, it came close enough to me that I could almost spit at it. Well, I could throw a ball at it easily. I jumped out of the water and I looked at him. I said, "Don't mind me." And I said, well, it's gonna be clear over here. And I was in shock. I mean, I've had people, when it's crowded, 200 or 300 boats out there.
Right. You expect
but there wasn't nobody out there.
I know it.
And I just said, no, I said, I'm gonna leave. Y'all enjoy yourself. I left that area. So, but
that's funny. But it's disappointing too, because there should be a mutual respect.
Well, we talked about it on the show all the time.
Spot.
I started telling them, I said, I bet y'all don't watch Panhandle Outdoors, because we always talk about this football field length. We always talk about it. Everybody knows what size of the football field. Stay away from folks, one football field, coming in, going out, whatever.
Exactly.
And there's a law in
it is
on the diver's flag.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know y'all had y'all's flag up.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's disappointing. And you see that fishing and scalloping. I guess the only thing I can think of is they thought maybe y'all had found them and they're trying to group up. But still, you got to space out.
I found them. Y'all had found them. But
right. You still got to space out. You
I asked Gail when I got back in the boat, did you video that? And she didn't. She didn't. She don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I said, it was a video, because people, I won't be able to explain it on the show what they did after they got close to us. But anyway, it happened. I did get a picture of it. I took a snapshot of it. So
if they're running in there and you're in the water, get us some FL numbers next time.
It was weird. But anyway, along the same line, Travis, I got a message the other day. These folks were out there fishing, and they're fairly new to the area. They've been here a year or two, and they're fishing on a spot, and a dive boat came up to where they were fishing.
Come out offshore?
Yeah, well, right, not too far offshore.
Right.
And, but it wasn't a bay; it was out offshore, and near shore. And the dive boat said he had a charter, and he anchored there where they were fishing and just started diving in. The people, being fairly new to the area, didn't know what to do and all, but they just pulled up the poles and left, and they were asking people what to do and all. So what's the situation on that?
Well, I'll tell you, and that's why I was saying it's a mutual respect thing. I mean, when you get out there in the water, it's public water. So you get offshore on a bottom spot or a number, there's nothing to say they can't come up and fish right there next to you, as far as legally. Yeah. But again, it's usually an unspoken kind of rule among fishermen that if someone's fishing an area, it doesn't matter if you're on a river, on a bed, a brim bed, or if you're offshore and you're on a bottom spot, you don't come right up there on somebody and get right there next to them. So
yeah, it was a public number, and
it's frustrating.
These people had a public number, but they were anchored out there and they were fishing. And there's a commercial dive boat came up, and the guy hollered at him, "Hey, I got a charter here." And that's all he said. And people just started diving in. So that was a tough situation too. So
that's frustrating. I mean, there is a rule for harassment of hunters and fishermen, but that right there probably wouldn't meet the harassment thing criteria. So unfortunately, it's kind of, again, it's like an unspoken rule, and most people are respectful.
Yeah, they are.
But whether a river, a lake, and the pass offshore, and it's just funny when you tell that story, because I've been there. You're offshore, and you got the whole Gulf of Mexico, just like the story you were saying, and somebody pulls right up there. So
yeah,
it can be aggravating.
What are they thinking?
I don't know.
I mean, it's like I always picture somebody in a tree stand in a public hunting area. You got your own little stand over there,
yeah.
and somebody walking up to you, sitting down next to you. I mean, that's about the same principle.
Oh yeah.
And you just don't do those things. And
you don't.
Anyway, it was just fascinating too. Okay, we're going to take our final break. We'll come back with our case of the month. Welcome back. Glad you're with us this morning. We got Travis Bashford here talking about all kinds of things going on at FWC. Let's do our fish and game forecast first, brought to us by Barron's Barbecue Shrimp Marinade. We're looking at 5:56 to 7:56 this morning. We're right in the middle of it. And this evening, 6:24 to 8:24. The weather looks good, so it'll be a good chance to get out this afternoon after work and try to catch us something. So, okay, what else we got, Travis?
We got a couple more things on the water, and then we're going to turn to my favorite time of the year, which is when the stuff in the woods start going on, and you hear the whistling of wings and stuff like that. So real quick on the water, red snapper state season is going to reopen September 2nd, which is a Friday before Labor Day. And we talked about how they added the Fridays this year to the weekend, so it will be open that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That'll be the only Monday it's open, which is Labor Day, and then Fridays and Saturdays for the rest of September and October, which is good. It'll give a bigger window for people, depending on weather and time off and stuff like that, when they can go harvest red snapper. And I counted them up last night, so we got a total of 28 more days in red snapper season for 2016. So
28, okay.
Pretty good amount. They're spaced out, and hopefully people can take advantage of that and enjoy that resource.
Oh, this fall is just wonderful fishing, and catching big red snapper in fall is special.
It is. And in the mornings, it's just starting to try to cool off a little bit. And I know in September and October it's going to be great out there. So reminder, when you're going for red snapper, in federal waters anyway, gray triggerfish and greater amberjack close for the rest of the year in federal waters. Gray triggerfish close for the rest of the year in state waters, but greater amberjack is open in state waters. So remember that when you're out there snapper fishing. If you catch those triggerfish, you got to throw them back when you're in state waters. So, and then I'm going to talk about some bird seasons we have coming up, and then we'll go to the case of the month. We got, before I come on here again, we're going to have early wood duck season and early wood duck and teal season. Those dates are September 17th through the 21st. That's teal and wood duck. And then September 22nd through the 25th are teal only. And in our area, I mean, we get the blue-winged teal. They're few and far between. A lot of times these flocks are coming in. They're resting for a few days, and then they're getting on south. But every year we have some hunters get some teal. The main target that they're going to be going after primarily the wood ducks. And just want to remind everyone, this early season, instead of like regular season when you can have 3 wood ducks per day, it's only 2.
Okay.
Only 2 for early season, so that's important to remember. And also, if you're a duck hunter, know the difference between a wood duck and teal, because if you limit out on wood ducks, when you pull a trigger again, make sure it's a blue-winged teal you're shooting at.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people, they've got plenty of time to scout, and these are our local birds, and usually they're pretty successful. Yeah. So it's if you're in a good wood duck hole, you can knock down 2 pretty quick.
Boom, boom. Like
so and we got to be careful and make sure if anything else you pull a trigger on is a teal, and then the last part of that season's only teal, so you can't kill wood ducks. So it's pretty cool, and it gives they've been doing this for years, and it gives hunters an opportunity to target blue-winged teal, because in the regular season we just don't have them in here.
Yeah. They
push farther south and even go south of Florida, some of them. So
okay.
So cool on that, and then opening day of dove will be early again this year. I keep saying it's early. It just feels early. It's been like 2 or 3 years now, but it's going to be September 24th, as opposed to used to be the first Saturday in October for years, and it's going to be early. And again, that's to let hunters try to hunt some of these local birds before they get pushed down and before the migratories come in. Saturday, September 24th, opening day of dove. Bag limit remains at 15 per person per day, and that was bumped up again 2 or 3 years ago from 12 to 15.
Right. Okay.
So that's exciting with hunting season coming up. We got we'll be talking about that all fall, but those are the 2 that are coming up before I get to see y'all again. And
okay, I've got about 3 minutes on case of the month. So this is a neat one.
This is a cool one here. So the case of the month this month, we had a lot of good cases made, as always. A lot of BUI arrest, DUI arrest. We had some really good saltwater resource cases made, with summer still being here, and the kids just went back to school. But this one is actually one that took place in a management area. You can find a creek. A lot of people are familiar with that. in northern Bay County up into southern Washington, and then there's a small section in Jackson County. Anyways, Officer Hank Forehand and Officer Matt Gore responded to a call in Econfina Creek in reference to some subjects that were picking saw palmetto berries. And for those of you that don't know, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's really widely used in the medical field to treat prostate health in guys, and actually been used to treat that since the 1870s.
Yeah.
So it's really popular, and they only grow in Florida and Georgia and a little bit of coastal Carolina as far as the southeastern United States. So it's a small area that they grow, and what FWC has done, they've outlawed the harvest on state land. Just like you can't go in a management area and be cutting down wood and stuff like that,
right.
You can't go in and harvest these berries. So, and just to show you how much they're worth in the medical field, when they crush that powder, it's worth up to $70 a pound for that powder when they crush those berries, and then they put it in a capsule, and people put it in teas or take it in a pill form. So anyways, they responded to this call, and they did some tracking, and were able to find the people picking. And once they caught them, there were 4 or 5 guys in there. They had over 1,000 pounds of berries. I mean, in big old croaker sacks, and they had been working on those berries. So they told them, hey, you can't harvest them here and all this and that. Well, the people that they stopped weren't really familiar with it, but a person had hired them and dropped them off in the management area. So after a short investigation, they were able to track that guy down, and then he was cited for the picking of the palmetto berries and operating an ATV on state land. So it was a real good case made by Officer Hank Forehand and Matt Gore up there.
What an interesting case too. It's not always fishing games. Sometimes it's our resources.
Exactly.
That's cool.
It was cool. They did a real good job, and those berries are important because the black bears eat them, deer eat them, and they provide cover and food for over 200 species. Yeah. So they're important to have on our state lands.
Well, that's interesting. So that's a good one right there.
Something different.
Yeah. Okay. We're about to wrap it up. Travis, as always, good job.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, man. And next time we see you, we'll be hunting season sort of with the birds.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Okay. Y'all, and they got that tip right there now from a concerned outdoorsman that got it. So y'all, as outdoorsmen, we got to help them out and call, and when people are doing things illegal, let them know. Thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. You do a good thing for your fellow man today. Have a great day, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.